cash or the current assets skyrocketed in 2018 to 67,775,800 pesos.
Nice.
With all due respect, Attorney Roque, saan po nanggaling itong napakalaking perang ito? Please enlighten us.
Nagbenta po ang pamilya ko ng isang 1.8 hectares na lupa sa multinational village, Paranaque.
Sana
We
all.
sold it to the Velarde Group. In turn, the Velarde Group swapped it to the SM Group. And our 1.8 hectares now is where the SM warehouse is located.
And can you please enlighten us? Magkano po ba ang pinagbentahan nyo ng property na nabanggit ninyo?
Ang zonal valuation po, nung panahon na binenta
Mr.
namin,
Chair, we are asking about the selling price, not the zonal valuation.
ma'am, because the selling price is the zonal valuation, it was 12,000 per square meters times...
Not at all times, Mr. Chair.
No,
The
yung-
zonal valuation is not always the selling price of the property, and that is a common knowledge. Please enlighten the Quad. How much was the selling price of your property, which was the source of your 67,775,800 pesos cash of Biancham in 2018?
Pinangunahan ni Congresswoman Gerville Luistro ang pagbusisi sa di umano'y biglaang paglobo ng yaman ni Harry Roque. Ayon kay Luistro, ay dapat ipaliwanag ni Roque kung paano biglang naging 67 million ang cash ng Biancham noong 2018, samantalang 3 million lamang ito noong 2017. Tara at ating ipagpatuloy.
I do not remember the exact amount, but it is roughly for the 1.8 hectares, 216 million, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Mr. Chair, in line with the answer of the resource speaker, I respectfully move that we be provided with a copy of the sale document, the deed of sale of the property that was mentioned by our resource speaker. Mr. Chair, as the President, a calibrated lawyer, a prominent personality in the legal circle, of course, it is a common knowledge that yearly the company or the corporation is required to file an audited financial statement. Does our resource speaker confirm?
I confirm that, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, may I request our Secretariat to please flash in our screen the 2014 Statement of Assets and Liabilities of Biancham.
Technical, could you please plus the SAL-N of Attorney Roque?
Mr. Chair, I wish to correct, with all due respect, this is audited financial statement of Biancham and not SAL-N. And I am requesting that the page of assets be flashed in the screen. This is 2014. Mr. Chair, while we are waiting for the document to be shared to the public, I wish to share that the document discloses cash for 2014 of Biancham in the total amount of 125,300 pesos. And then, Mr. Chair, I wish to invite as well the attention of the public, especially the Quad, to the 2015 audited financial statement of Biancham. Noticeably, the cash increased from 125,000 from 2014 to 3,125,300 pesos in 2015. I wish to take note, Mr. Chair, 2014 and 2015 were prior to the administration of former President Rodrigo Roa Duterte. Having seen 2014 and 2015 assets of Biancham, kindly flash the 2018 assets of Biancham Holdings.
Could you please plus the 2018 audited financial statement of 2018?
For the information of the committee, Mr. Chair, from 125,000 in 2014 to 3 million in 2015.
Mr. Chair, may I manifest that I have a PowerPoint presentation that I intended to use, and I precisely included in that PowerPoint presentation the deed of sale, Your Honor, of this property of 1.8 hectares in Multinational Village, Paranaque.
Mr. Chair, that will depend on the Quad if he will be allowed to make his presentation, Mr. Chair. If I may proceed, Mr. Chair?
Yes, please proceed, and we will decide on that request by the resource persons at the appropriate time. Please proceed.
I understand as well that in view of your appointment as presidential spokesperson, you are likewise bound by Republic Act number 6713. That is the Code of Conduct and Ethical Standards for Public Officials and Employees. May I ask our resource speaker, ito po bang 67,775,800 pesos? Did you disclose this in your statement of asset and liabilities and net worth?
I remember I declared cash of 60 million, Mr. Chair, in my SALN.
What explains the disparity? Why not declare the 67 million instead of 60 million cash only?
Because I did not have 67 million in cash at that point in time, Mr. Chairman. I had other assets, but the cash was 60 million at the time when I last filed my SALN as presidential spokesperson, Mr. Chair.
Nonetheless, Mr. Chair, the document reflects the amount of 67,775,800 pesos. This is contained in the 2018 audited financial statement of Biancham as of 2018.
Worth 1.5 million.
Yes po, because hindi pa po nabibenta yung aming lupa. Kaya nga po tumaas yung aking cash position because nabenta nga po yung lupa.
For 2017.
In 2017 po yan nabenta, no? So,
This is period covering up to December 2017, Mr. Chair. So at the end of 2017, all transactions for 2017 should have been reflected. And yet, after the sale of land in 2017, 1.5 million lang po yung worth of Biancham, which you claim is the vessel in which you have used to invest in FHBMC worth 35 million in addition to 60 million in cash and 125 million in advances. Mr. Chair, your testimony does not make any sense.
well, it does po, no? Because as I said, pag bumibili naman po ng lupa, hindi naman cash lahat yan. May mga advance payment po yan.
Mr. Chair, it should have at least reflected as liabilities or payables in your
Well,
AFS.
siguro nga po, maybe that's why, as I said, I'm not a corporate lawyer. Political lawyer po talaga ako. I'm even an international lawyer, no? That's what I teach, no? So ako naman po, I rely on what the accountants will say, no? Pero makikita nyo naman po, merong effort to reflect somehow kung ano yung mga nangyayari. Kaya nga po nagkaroon ng 60 million cash ang pumasok sa Biancham kasi ipinasok nga po yan intended to purchase property. At ano naman po yan, sumabay naman po yan, Mr. Chair, doon sa panahon na nakuha namin yung proceeds ng bentahan ng lupa namin sa Paranaque, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, unfortunately, for someone such as yourself as a legal luminary, I find it hard to believe that you would be unaware of the infirmities surrounding the failure to report these kinds of things. And in fact, that's the precise point of having an AFS. This is independently audited. You have an auditor for this. So how come you're able to deal willy-nilly left and right between FHBMC, Biancham, together with Green Mile, yet it is not properly reflected? And even if we say it's reflected eventually, you always say that it's going to be fixed in the future. I hope you understand, Mr. Chair, the frustration of how it's very hard to make sense of the story. Because, Mr. Chair, as properly as Chairman Ace mentioned, why we want to look into this, and as I mentioned, why we have to look into your family matters. It's easy to claim yung pamilya po namin nagbenta ng property. It's easy to claim that this property was, this proceeds were used in investing here. But for as long as hindi po siya natatrace sa money trail, I don't know if the committee will accept the explanation na aayusin po namin yan later on, or aayusin po namin yung cash flow investment. Because, Mr. Chair, the most glaring, the most obvious, easily, with an investment of 60 million in cash, which your AFS already mentioned was in subscription, not in FBHMC, but in Biancham itself. For the succeeding GIS, 12.5 million pa rin po yung shares ninyo.
Sa pagpapatuloy ng pagdinig at sa pagtatanong ni Representative Mon Gutierrez, ay nakatuon siya sa ilang mga bagay na nag-uugnay kay Harry Roque sa Lucky South 99 at Pogo. Mga ilang bagay ito na nagpapakita ng kaugnayan ni Roque sa Pogo. Aniya ay katakataka at tila mahirap paniwalaang ito'y nagkataon lamang dahil marami ito.
Hindi naman po siya nag-increase by 60 million. So there seems to be a disconnect. And Mr. Chair, let me connect this now. If I may conclude, Mr. Chair, I'm sure you and I both are very confused with the allegations. I think, Mr. Chair, what I'm trying to drive at here is that there seems to be some great confusion with the finances. Might not be necessarily of Mr. Attorney Harry Roque, but at least of Biancham, which is alarmingly related in a way, at least with PH2. And why do I say alarming? Mr. Chair, I'd like to bring this back po, no? Yung nabanggit po natin dati. Yung sa previous hearings, which I think as the quadcom, as the successor of those individual hearings, we can take notice po of the facts that are mentioned. And I'd like to mention these facts, and I'd like to ask Mr. Roque his thoughts on this as a summary po, no, to really put into light why we're asking these questions. Number one, Attorney Harry Roque represented over LS 99, Lucky South 99 property.
Mr. Chair, I did not.
You did not. You claim that it is Whirlwind, but it is the same subject property.
Well, it is.
It is.
It is
Okay, thank you,
because
Mr.
there's a
I
contract of
will, I
lease.
will tie into that later on. Second fact that I'd like to state. Mr. Harry Roque facilitated Lucky South 99 meeting with Chair Tenko.
Well, Mr. Chair,
You did this. You had 6 missed calls with Attorney Rivera ba yun?
Yes.
You've set it up. You yourself said when Cassandra Ong met Chairman Tenko, no whirlwind matters were mentioned. It was all purely Lucky South 99.
Mr. Chair, I did so.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
because-
Mr. Chair,
because
please allow me
Nasi-
to...
Mr. Chairman.
Let's allow the member to finish his question first before you reply, Attorney Roque.
Mr. Chair?
Mr. Chair,
Most
proceed.
respectfully, Attorney Roque, I understand that you will have your time to rebut these later. But I hope you understand, as a lawyer especially, that there's a line of questioning that I wish to pursue. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Number 3, Mr. Harry Roque was cited as legal representative in Lucky South 99 application. This was mentioned by Chairman Tenko. He was cited as legal representative in their organizational chart. Now, may we hear your response on this particular matter, Mr.
Attorney
Chair?
Roque, please.
That was not authorized, Mr. Chair, and I have emphasized it over and over again. And I have said that that paper is only evidence that it exists. It is not evidence of the truth of matters stated therein, as in fact, Attorney Jessa Fernandez said that that information was unverified.
Thank you,
She
Mr. Chair.
said that
So
on
it
record.
exists as proper documents with PAGCOR, official applicant documents. Mr. Chair, Mr. Harry Roque has bank documents which were discovered in the Lucky South 99 raid. He's already mentioned this earlier. Mr. Chair, number 5, Harry Roque's executive assistant and confidant resided in Lucky South 99 when Porac was raided. As already mentioned earlier. Number 6, Harry Roque's subsidiary, Biancham, owns 99% of PH2, which housed San Liming, Red Notice Interpol suspect who has links and is cited as IT administrator of Lucky South 99. Number 7, Harry Roque's holdings have, well, we still have to discuss this, but I believe, as far as we're concerned, legally, putting aside your story of family, has unexplained increases worth 60 million in cash, 125 million in advances, and 35 million in investments in FHPMC. And lastly, Mr. Chair, the last point was actually about the 35 million. So as I mentioned, why I asked this earlier, it seems to be For every point, when taken individually, Mr. Harry Roque has some explanation. It's either, not to quote this, not to be brash, but you have to understand how much we take this with disbelief na may namatay, they won't be able to testify, it's a family matter, it is private, I have nothing to do with it, I am not the lawyer. All of these are usually plain denials on the part of Mr. Harry Roque. However, what I mentioned earlier, it seems to be that coincidence hounds Mr. Harry Roque. Seems to be coincidence follows him around and could explain everything. But the fact of the matter is, Lucky South 99 seems to hound Mr. Roque. As I mentioned it, he has been representing over the property subject by Lucky South 99. His executive assistant lived in the compound of Lucky South 99 despite living an hour away from the aviation school in Clark. He also has he has arranged the meeting between Cassandra Ong and Chairman Tenko, which he says was supposed to be whirlwind, but as far as we're concerned, and the testimony not by Roque, but by Chairman Tenko himself, was that all that they discussed was Lucky South 99 matters. And the list goes on and on, the back documents found there. It is mentioned that it's because it is memorabilia of his EA. But the fact of the matter is, Lucky South 99 strikes again. Mr. Chair, of course, I'm not saying this as a final verdict, but I hope you understand, Mr. Chair, that for the Quadcom, we are here to listen to every piece of evidence, and they all seem to indicate one direction. And the missing piece now, I think for me it is clear. I don't know with the rest of the members of the Quadcom. At best, there is a link with Lucky South 99. At worst, this is a terrible, terrible string of coincidence. But one thing that we should ascertain from this point on, why I was reserving my comment for the motion by Congresswoman Luistro to request for the documents of the trust, for the documents regarding the family matters of Mr. Roque. While we understand the want for privacy, Mr. Chair, these coincidences seem like more than just coincidences. And the missing link now, if we see that there's a link with Lucky South 99, the question now is that we have to verify. How do we explain these supposedly, as far as I'm concerned, unexplained increases through his subsidiaries and through his companies? So I think, Mr. Chair, that should be the direction, at least for the portion regarding Mr. Harry Roque. And actually, Mr. Chair, I still had some questions regarding the leases, regarding Ms. Paterna and his relation with Harry Roque, and we have other questions regarding Lucky South 99. But seeing as we have been now at this hearing for 7 hours, I think I would like to yield to the other interpellators in the hall. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Attorney Roque, for the indulgence.
Actually born yesterday, Secretary. Sa tingin mo po ba kaya mong paikutin ang mga tao sa hearing na ito kasamang sambayan ng Pilipino? Of course, deny as much as you want. But the overwhelming pieces of evidence point to one thing. An only reasonable person, any reasonable person, will come to an unmistakable conclusion. You are part, or perhaps a lawyer, of Pogo South 99.
Mr. Chair, I resent that. I am not fooling anyone. I resent that also coming from someone who was my former law student and who was my inaanak. That's not the way to treat a resource person of this House. At least when I was a member of this House, we never treated resource persons in that way. I resent that for the record, Mr. Chairman.
May I ask the honorable member, Cong to refrain in issuing statements that would insult our resource persons. I am not saying you are, but try to avoid issuing statements that would hurt the feelings of our resource persons. Please proceed.
Will do, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, in our last hearing on August 16, Friday in Pampanga, Secretary Roque was invited by this Quad Committee. And Attorney Harry Roque sent a letter dated August 13, 2024, addressed to the Honorable Chairman, Robert Ace Barbers. Yours true. Are you the lead chairman? Informing Chair Barbers that he will not be able to participate in the said meeting due to a conflict with the previously scheduled court hearing before the Regional Trial Court of Manila on 16 August 2024, the same date of our Quad Committee hearing. I have here a copy of that particular letter. Mr. Chair, we have also in receipt here a copy of certification from Attorney Jennifer H. de la Cruz, Buendia, clerk of court and ex officio sheriff of Manila, RTC Manila, is stating that Attorney Harry Roque has no hearing on August 16 and did not appear in the courts of Manila on said date. Mr. Chair, I hate to say it, but clearly, Attorney Harry Roque, our former secretary, and my former professor, law professor, lied to this committee. And that amounts actually to disrespect on the members of the committee, which is contemptible under Section 11E of the Rules of the House of Representatives on inquiries in aid of legislation. I therefore move, Mr. Chair, that Attorney Harry Roque be cited for contempt for disrespecting the members of this committee when he lied in order to evade attending the hearing of this committee where he was invited. So move, Mr. Chair.
I did not quite hear what you said, Congressman Salo. Can you please repeat? Are you moving for the committee to cite Mr. Attorney Harry Roque in contempt?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Pursuant to Section 11E of the Rules of the House of Representatives in aid of legislation. So
Mr.
move,
Chair,
Mr. Chair.
1 minute suspension. That is the reply of the chair to the query of Attorney Harry Roque. Now, Congressman Abante, please continue.
Okay, Attorney Roque, I'd like to remind you that I was the one that moved to contempt Ms. Badoy, after which, as said by Congressman Fernandez, you have maligned this institution. Now, I still maintain my position to hold in abeyance these contempt charges against you. But I cannot do anything, Attorney Roque, if this whole body right now will cite you in contempt. That's the only thing that I'd like to say.
Thank you, Congressman Abante. Now we vote on the motion by Congressman Salo. May I ask Congressman Salo to please reiterate the motion?
Mr. Chair, allow me to reiterate my earlier motion. Considering that former Secretary Attorney Harry Roque has lied to this committee, that amounts to disrespect on the members of this committee, which is contemptible under Section 11E of the Rules of this House of Representatives on inquiries in aid of legislation. I therefore move, Mr. Chair, that he would be cited for contempt by this committee. Thank you.
There is a motion to cite Attorney Harry Roque in contempt for violating Section 11, Paragraph E of the Rules of Procedure governing inquiries in aid of legislation of the House of Representatives. There is a quorum in each of the committees composing the Quadcom. So may I ask the committee secretary to please record the vote of all the members in this committee hearing.
Mr. Chair, just a clarificatory questions, Mr. Chair, before we proceed on the voting. Mr. Chair, I was listening to the manifestation of Chairman Acop, and well, I agree with him. Voting should be done if there is a outright objection to a motion raised. I believe the motion that was raised by Congressman Ron Salo, has not been objected to, Mr. Chair. Did you object?
Can we get a clarification as to the position of Congressman Paul Daza with respect to the motion of Congressman Salo? Are you objecting, Your Honor?
Well, I beg to disagree with my good friend, Chairman Acop. The chair had opened the floor for comments before taking it to a vote. So my position is the chair had already decided to let people speak and then take it to a vote. But I will abide by your ruling, Chair. Should you take that position, But if you want to take it to a vote, I'm also willing to vote.
So in that
May-
case, if I may be allowed to explain, in that case, Mr. Chair, if the good gentleman from the good Deputy Minority Leader accede to the fact that even the chair can decide, the chairman can decide whether to cite Attorney Roque in contempt or not, then we will just simply yield to the decision of the
Mr. Chair.
chairman and no longer proceed with any voting, Mr. Chair, because under the rules, the only way we can proceed with the vote, Mr. Chair, if there's an objection, and since there's no objection, we relay. I mean, I agree with Congressman.
The rules states that 2/3 of the member present must agree to a motion in order that the motion will be approved and carried. So, in this case, the motion to cite Attorney Harry in contempt was properly made by the movant, and no objection was put forward, meaning it is a unanimous decision in accordance and in approval of the motion of Congressman Salo. So the motion is to cite him in contempt. So since, again, there was no objection made by any of the member present, therefore, the ruling of the chair and the members is that Attorney Harry Roque is now cited in contempt. Okay? Our resource person, Attorney Harry Roque, was cited in contempt for violating Section 11, Paragraph E of our rules. And after the contempt, the proper motion is to follow Section 12, which speaks of the penalty. Is there any motion? Congressman Salo?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, and to this honorable committee, in consideration of the fact that the resource person, former Secretary Harry Roque, is my former law professor, fellow Kabayan Party List representative, and a former member of this House of Representatives, and in consideration also of his claim for honest mistake, and of course, the apologies that he has given to this committee, and finally, in consideration personal relations, as you has mentioned a while ago that he was my ninong, respectfully move, Mr. Chair, that the penalty be given be shortened to the barest minimum, which is just 1 day or 24 hours, Mr. Chair.
Second motion, Mr. Chair.
There is a motion,
Second motion,
duly
Mr. Chair.
seconded, to impose a penalty of 24 hours to our resource person, Attorney Harry Roque. Hearing no objection, the motion is carried. One
Mr.
minute
Chair.
suspension.
Salamat sa panunood. Huwag kalimutang mag-like, subscribe at mag-share ng video.